and welcome to a Resource Review ICT special. Are you looking for secondary art resources to really inspire your students? Well, today on Resource Review, we're evaluating 3 ICT resources that you might want to consider. They are image manipulation software, an online community archive of photos, and video editing software. Recommending today's resources, we have Tony Wheeler, a Senior Research Fellow at Goldsmiths College and author of publications on creative ICT in schools. On the panel today is Michelle Kitto, Primary and Secondary Art Consultant and Art Teacher at Wood-Eaton Manor School in Oxford, and Ray Barker, Director of the British Educational Suppliers Association. And our resident ICT investigator, Matthew Tosh, will be putting the resources to the test in the test lab. So welcome to you all. Tony, your first choice of resource for us today is called Morph 2.5. Tell us about it.
Morphing is an interesting technique where the computer allows you to combine 2 images together and then merges them and creates new images on the way. So in the package, you can very quickly drag and drop 2 images into the frames, and then using these tools, I'm telling the computer to move the position of my eye across the screen to the position of the other image, the orange. And that's probably easier to see when you look at the finished result.
Okay.
You can see that my eyes are morphing, and I've told the program to move the image across. Absolutely. And a silly example here, but taking children's artwork and looking at the differences between 2 images, you construct somewhere between the 2 pictures that you wouldn't have been able to imagine in your head.
Let's go over now to Matthew in the test lab and see him getting creative with Morph 2.5.
This is a fairly snazzy piece of software for budding special effects artists out there. It allows you to morph one image onto another. And I'll show you how the program works now. I need to create a new file to begin with, and this is the window I'm going to be working in. On the left-hand side of that window is my start image, and on the right-hand side is where my final image is going to be. I'm just going to grab a couple of images from my hard drive, and I thought we'd morph an eyeball into a picture of the moon. Now we need to tell the software some reference points, so I'm just going to go around the eyeball, and this is important because the software needs to know how to map the 2 images together. Now, using the pointer tool, I go to my final image and I drag those points out to the edge of my moon. This is just telling it how each point will morph across, like that. Well, that's my points mapped. Let's give it a go. And you can see it doing it frame by frame. It's actually doing the morphing as it saves the video. It's saved as an AVI file, so you can play it back in most media players. So we can just have a very quick look at our finished product. There we are. There's hours of fun to be had with this software, especially if you've got a creative mind. And on that note, I'm going to leave you with one final morph.
Well, Tony, Matthew gave us another nice demo there of Morph. He said it looked like hours of fun. Now, is hours of fun really appropriate for teaching secondary art?
It's good for me. I think art ought to be fun and exciting. The truth is, once teachers have got the hang of what the programme does, they can begin to think about ways to structure more formal activities. For example, you could imagine a portfolio of work that a child might create and morph their pieces into one another to provide a more exciting digital portfolio of their artwork, perhaps.
All right, nice idea. Well, one teacher who has got to grips with it, Michelle, how did it go down in your class?
I've tested it out with a few children in the class, and they were really, really excited about it. Initially, we just sort of played around with some of the images we could sort of download off the internet, but I think it needs to have more of a specific purpose. So they used some of their own art images and morphed those together to create quite an interesting piece. They took a photograph of something that they'd set up in advance, and then they morphed it into a piece of textiles that they'd created.
So how easy did the pupils find it to do that?
Initially, it was quite tricky because there's quite a lot of explaining of how to set up the points, how to actually import the material. But once they got the hang of it, it was actually quite quick to actually produce that sort of piece of work.
Ray, what do you think?
the basic, concept of it, as Tony said, is it must enable you to do something that you can't do not using ICT. And it's perfect, isn't it? Because that whole idea of just getting two images and creating something completely new.
You can't do that
You just
any other
can't
way.
do it any other way. And it should enhance the learning experience. And, I think we've heard that as well. It is something new and different.
Well, there you go, Tony. We're out of time on that one, but a very positive review from Michelle and Ray. Now let's move on to Tony's second choice of resource, and this one's called Flickr. So what is Flickr?
So Flickr is a very exciting resource. It's essentially a free storage space to upload photographic images. This is a very democratic place where individuals put up their photographs and individuals choose the descriptions that they want to put on their photographs and create collections of photographs.
Okay. What have we got on the screen
here?
here?
What we've got on the screen here is a collection of images that have been uploaded by someone called .x3. The quality of the images in there are absolutely fantastic and are incomparable to the quality of the image that you might get on a search in Google.
OK, well, let's go back to Matthew for a bit of a more in-depth look at Flickr.
When I first looked at Flickr, I thought it was just another photo uploading site. But as you'll see in a moment, it does offer quite a few other facilities. Now, you can also upload photos yourselves free of charge, but today I'm going to be focusing on searching for images, which you can do very easily from the home page. You just type in a keyword, and I'm going to search for cat, and see what it comes up with. And here we have our search results. These are all the photos to do with cat. And according to the website, there are over 350,000 photos of cats alone. If I want to look at a photo in more detail, then I just click on it, and up it comes. Now, the way the website works is by assigning tags to each photo. It's a little bit like an indexing system in a library. And you can see the tags on the photo here. We've got cat, Edinburgh, BG and UK. If I click on UK, it narrows my search down a little bit more. So these are all the results of UK within the cat search. I can look at all photos that have been tagged with UK. And here they are. And within those results, I can look at the most interesting. This gives you the best photos in that category. And these are pictures voted for by users of the website and also the website itself. It looks at how popular pictures are when they're viewed. And by clicking on a photo, it gives you access to comments that people have made in relation to that photo. Now, the photos on the website vary from mobile phone pictures to really high definition wildlife photos. And there's some really inspiring work on here. Each user on the website has a user area where you can access their sets, their photos and their favourite pictures. And I'm just going to have a look at one here. There's some firework photos which I think are really good. If I click on one, you can zoom in and you can start to see the definition that you can get on the website. And a little word of warning, when you access the really big photos, it can be quite slow on the download unless you've got a broadband connection. So in summary, this is a networked search facility of high quality photographs. There's some real inspiration here, but I can't help feel, looking at some of the talent, that my point and click technique is somewhat inadequate.
So, Tony, Flickr seems like a vast resource, but is there a danger that students will come across inappropriate imagery if this is just freely available to anyone to put pictures on it?
You're quite right. It's a public space, and as a teacher, I guess you have a responsibility to make sure that children are exploring in a sensible and reasonable way. OK.
Well, Michelle, you've used Flickr with your students. How did it go down?
Oh, they really, really enjoyed it. They found it so much more liberating than sort of other search engines. They found it really good for starting points for project work. So for doing the sort of research into a theme, such as totem poles or surface textures we've got here. And one of the features they really liked was this view as a slideshow section. We used it as a starting point for a project by which they could get some images to do some research, and they could then take those back into the art room and either use them to sort of make a collage or to paint from them, or just to get some ideas of patterns or mark making. But we don't want to use them as an end result because they're not the pupils' work.
Ray, what do you think of Flickr?
Great resource for that collection, making a community, I think. I did notice on the bottom of the screen those magic words Creative Commons, and I think that one big issue about any photo library like this is its use outside of the school, and you bring in the nasty word copyright at this point, there's an assumption by a lot of people that anything you find on the web is free. It belongs to somebody, actually. It's their copyright, it's their intellectual property.
The nice thing about Flickr is that it points you to those issues, and Ray mentions Creative Commons. Creative Commons is a fantastic website to go to, which lays out some very simple rules for choosing how you grant license.
Yes.
If you have an account where you've put your photographs up, grant license to other people to use it for non-commercial purposes, or what they need to do if they want to.
OK, well, now let's move on to Tony's third choice of resource. Tony, this is iMovie. Could be familiar to some, but tell me about how you recommend it as a resource for teachers.
OK, iMovie is a video editing tool. It works on Macintosh computers. The beauty of iMovie is how simple and easy it is to use. So in the context of secondary art, introducing the notion of time and audio as media for children to incorporate into their artwork is really quite exciting. Essentially what happens is you plug your digital camcorder into your Macintosh computer, iMovie recognises that you've done that, and it sucks all your clips out and it puts them in this box at the side here on the right-hand side. What's really easy and exciting is that you can then choose the clips that you want once you've reviewed them and drop them down onto your storyboard down here and begin to create the narrative, the storyline of your story. And then when you play these clips, they bind together. Probably the most exciting aspect of the program in its current form are the video effects that you can simply drag and drop and apply to your clips. You can then see a preview of the effect instantly applied to your clip.
Well, Michelle, you're nodding there. What do you think of this?
It's really, really good. The children don't even need to be told how to use it. They can work this out so quickly, and before you know it, they've produced little movies with rolling credits and music.
One issue is that this is iMovie for Macs. How many schools are using Macs?
A growing number, let's say that. I mean, when schools have got them, mostly for art and design, then they do not want to let them go because they love them, because they are so easy.
Is there something equivalent for PC users?
There are video editing tools for PCs. They're just not as supremely easy for children to use.
But Ray, can I just ask, what did you actually think of this as a resource?
That whole idea of kids being able to experiment and just changing things constantly, trying it out and saying, no, don't like that, want to change that.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do that except using technology like this. This is, you know, it is supremely simple.
And it's talking to children in the medium that they're used to.
Well, Tony, you're smiling. That's a great choice of resource if teachers get the opportunity to get their hands on it. Well, just to recap, the three resources that we looked at were Morph 2.5 morphing software, part of Hyper Studio, available from Tag Learning UK. Flickr image sharing tool from flickr.com. And iMovie video editing from Apple Computers Inc. For more information about the resources featured today, go to our website. It's teachers.tv/resource review, or email us resourcereview@teachers.tv. A big thank you to the panel, to Tony, to Michelle and to Ray. Thank you for joining us. See you next time on Resource Review. Bye-bye.